time. And now, again, it's going to be about going into this next game. And we're already seeing adaptations come out. WE are like, hey, we don't want anything to do with this Azir pick. Maybe that signals to me that WE want to stick with that style of a lot more of these all-in, very melee, very skirmish-heavy champions that they drafted in Game 1.
Yep, well, the teams are into picks and bans, and they've done a bit of a Raz, aka they've flipped over to the other sides. We'll have Team WE onto the blue with RA onto the red. We can see here RA respecting the Kaiser, knowing that it's something that Jomong is good at. Pretty much, if you want to be a top tier AD carry, you got to be good at this pick. They are not going to allow it to be first pick, with Fofo getting some respect on his Azir.
Now, the thing that jumps out right now, right, is the Olaf is left open. Wondering if RA are going to ban that. It is between the Olaf, the Pantheon, and the Udyr. We haven't seen a lot of teams first picking the Udyr, but it is jumping out in some teams' minds. Like you pointed out before the first game, I don't necessarily think it fits Beishang's playstyle all that well, despite the fact that he has played it one game. But here, my expectation would be that first pick Olaf.
Well, we'll see what they want to go for. Plenty of jungle picks. The only one taken away was the Nidalee. Hell of a lot of focus onto that AD carry role, though. So 3 of the probably top S tier or definitely A+ tier carries taken away with the Aphelios, the Kaiser, and the Samira. And we'll see what Team W want to go for. Might look towards that Olaf lock-in. Like you said, they do lock it in, and that means that you have a potential AD carry lock-in here. You cannot pit Viego here, and we know you can't, so don't even try and hover a cube. That is not cool. You're gonna get chat excited. It's not okay.
Now I wonder what RA will go with, because the only blindable when you think of AD carries are things along the lines of like the Jhin, the Misfortune. I guess the Senna is now one we can think of is extremely strong on this patch, in my opinion. But none of these are things that iBoy has really shown us yet. iBoy's actually only played 3 AD carries this split. He's played Kai'Sa, he's played Xayah, and he's played Aphelios. So if you got one of those being open, is the Xayah. Not too big of a fan of blind pick Xayah. I think it is too vulnerable in the laning phase. But instead they are going to go with a very safe blind pick mid laner in the Orianna.
Yep, lock in the Orianna, then Lian taking the Pantheon. And actually something I wanted to notice as well, we see that Lian will only really pick the Udyr if the Olaf is either banned or 100% the enemy jungler is locked in. We've seen that a couple of times now in his last series and this one as well. So I'm very, very happy to see him know the limitations of the champion, and it feels like Udyr just doesn't really do exceptionally well into the Olaf, so much so that Lian's saying, look, as much as I'm able to be around the map 24/7, I just shouldn't pick into it. So goes with the Pantheon, still has a very, very good early clear, but is more of a, as you said, lane-focused ganker and global pressure with the ultimate.
And I like what W have put together so far on their side. You know, they have the favorable jungle matchup. Again, Pantheon and Olaf aren't really trying to do the same thing, so it's hard to have a one-to-one comparison. You have this mid lane matchup where it's a bit 50-50, but Syndra will have the pressure early on. I also like it as a takeaway in a sense. Like, we already know that RA picked their mid laner, but I really hate when burst champions are against Olaf, and I like pairing Olaf with burst champions, so very strong mid-jungle 2v2. And then you're taking away the only other AD carry that iBoy has played. So for RA, I'm not quite sure where they go with their comp. The things I like into Olaf are either champions that have a lot of low CD pick potential or high burst, things that work well against the Olaf. And you've already taken the Orianna, you've already taken the Leona. I'm not quite sure what you can put in the top lane that will fulfill those roles, because there aren't really any AD carries that do.
And with the support being locked in rather than AD carries, honestly, Team W could double down here if they really, really wanted to. They could just ban out anybody and anything that they feel like they could take away. The Jhin, they could take away. Hell, the Caitlyn, they could just take away anything that they feel and really limit iBoy's champion pool and just 100% go for it. They're not going to go that route. They're instead going to ban away the Ornn. Pretty stock standard one if you want to try and stop that front-to-back team fight.
Yeah, and for the side of WE specifically, I feel like in terms of supports, they should be fine, assuming RA doesn't ban out the Galio. We also know Galio is a good answer into the Leona. We've seen it many times. It has fallen off, I'd say, a bit in terms of priority lately, but still has the push, still does quite well against a champion that does want to all in, and then you at least have a global to match the Pantheon global, and also combos quite well with that Olaf, giving him that safety if he does just want to run head first into the likes of RA. For RA, I would tend to expect something maybe like a Jhin or Misfortune. I actually don't like either of them into Syndra or Olaf that much. both of them can run them down. I wasn't quite sure if iBoy does play that Senna, but that is a champion that, again, regardless of comp, I just think with the changes, Senna is in too strong of a state right now.
Yeah, honestly, the 50% increase on her attack speed ratio from 0.2 to 0.3, the extra procs of Kraken Slayer onto her Q, and also the extra gold she gets now from her souls is actually just put her such. Honestly, in my opinion, from my solo queue experiences anyway, or from what I've seen in pro play, she feels very close to S tier. It feels like you can pick her into a lot of different compositions and she will work just purely from her extended range as well. Very, very strong. Yet to see what he will lock in, as we do see the Renekton locked in, and the Gragas for Team WE. It looks like Missing might look towards this Nautilus. Didn't have an exceptional game one on it, and actually might just swap to something completely different. We don't talk about Hovers, so we have to wait till he locks it in.
I want to talk about Hovers Penguin because guess what? I really did like Missing set in 2020. It was one of his best champions. Does look pretty good against what RA are picking of like these very bruiser heavy, low range, want to come into them. You're setting up for a very nice showstopper coming out from Missing, which is going to give that range for both Emung and Jomung to dish out all their damage. You also have Disengage in the top side coming out from the Gragas, and then now we are getting the Vayne. Vayne does work quite well into what W picked up. Very tank and bruiser heavy, so she's going to be able to dish out that damage. And we were highlighting the awkwardness of if you did pick Jin or Misfortune, which would give you a stronger laning phase, is that both Syndra and Olaf like playing into those champions. Vayne at least has the mobility to try to kite back, to try to play around these, and once again, they are setting both iBoy and Fofo to be the main carries of this team.
Both teams locked and loaded. It was the Vayne last pick for RA. Still yet to swap that one over to iBoy. I'm sure it will be just a graphical glitch, and I'm sure it is not hung on the Vayne. As we wait to go into into the Rift. But looking at the two compositions down the board, it feels like with Beishang on this Olaf, he should, quote unquote, have a lot more agency to do things in the early game and should be able to make some plays happen for him. I want to see him make that happen. I want to see him do things with this pick, because an Olaf that just farms isn't really anything to, write home about.
True. I do expect to see him at least, farm for that first clear, but I don't think farming is too much of a problem as long as he's at least taking those neutral objectives, right? When you think of Olaf, it's about stacking those early Drakes. So something along those lines would be nice, especially when I think they should be able to have that push in the bot lane, especially if Emung is hovering down towards the bot side, playing with Fog of War, using the pressure he gets. And then top lane probably should be an island. You do have ganks set up there on both sides, but especially when you have something like a Gragas, I think you want to leave that on an island. He's very durable, very good at outplaying dives as well once he hits that level 6 point, so you wouldn't expect to see too much attention for Breathe from WE, maybe outside of an early gank at like level 4, but definitely a more mid and bot side focused game once again.
Yep, I think it's going to be a very similar tale coming into game number 2, but for TWE, we want to see them be more proactive. Don't be reactive. Don't be waiting on things to happen for you. You want to be trying to come back in and make your own. You make your own miracles, is how I used to say it. You make them happen for yourself, and that's how you need to make this game work for you, and especially in the current meta, which is all about being proactive. If you're reactive, you're just going to fall behind unless you're some kind of god team. And ladies and gentlemen, we do apologize for the delay. There was a slight issue at the end towards pick and bans. They're going to try and reset it, get us into game as quick as possible. Should be, unless I get any other different update from production, should be the exact same picks and bans, and we should be onto the Rift very, very shortly. Again, I do apologize for the delay. But that does give us some time, Jordan. And, I keep calling you Jordan, you're lyric, and that's how I should be addressing you. But I want to know where you now rate RA after having seen them look not so great and now looking a little bit better. Where do you see them slotting in to the LPL as a whole?
I still think I'd put them somewhere around the 7th to like 9th position, right? I think the talent's there. This was a roster. I can't remember what I power ranked them before the split, but I remember I think it was pretty highly, somewhere between maybe like 6th and 7th position. I think Fofo is great. I think Fofo had exceptional performances in 2020, really being the sole shining light on BLG, especially with the fact that Meteor was, being subbed in and out. iBoy is a player that a lot of long-term LPL fans will always support, no matter, you know, kind of how good or bad his performances are. We see the highs he can have when the resources are put around him. Le Yen, to me, is the most surprising one, where I honestly thought Ike's would be the better player. Ike's has also been confirmed to be the shot caller of the team when he is playing, but Le Yen has been a lot more, I'd say, dynamic of how he's playing the game. Instead of when you think of back when he was on IG, right, he was just farming his own jungle, taking objectives pretty much off spawn, and just very much playing his own game of League of Legends. Le Yen is integrated in this team. Hung, now having standout performances, I feel like your only question mark is Cube. But to be honest, you're not going to have five superstars on every team, or 5 even just normal stars. So I think having a weak side player, somebody who can just kind of take what he's given, play these skirmishes fine on Renekton, is completely fine for RA. Now the question is, can they keep this up? Because against Rogue Warriors, dominant. In Game 1, looking good. Can they bring this momentum forward?
And for Team WE, it's a bit of a slump. It's a little bit of a slump. This is a team that was riding high, taking the wins, arguably against not the most illustrious of teams or opponents they were taking those wins against. And then they got smacked out by RNG, which is, you know, it happens. And like you said, the mistakes they made were very easily fixed, very easily amendable. But we didn't really see any actions taken for them to fix those problems in that last game. And for Team WE, as we are finally jumping onto the Rift, I want to see them do more. And I feel like this is a team that can be a top 4 team in the LPL if they just tighten up those screws just a little bit.
I mean, heck, they still are, at least in terms of standings, top 4 right now. So I agree. And even when we look at drafts, this game feels very winnable to me. I want to keep focus on the bot lane early because, of course, we do have a set in the game. Always level 1 or level 2, we see sets look for these flash E plays onto the enemy bot lane and try to blow a flash early. iBoy, though, is taking the cleanse. Both AD carries actually taking the cleanse, so a lot of respect as, ooh, missing. Just going to get chunked out.
Yeah, very defensive start. Now, Jolmong getting chunked out himself. Will just be chased down. Those tumbles make it very, very easy for iBoy to continue down this road. And Missing hasn't got the health bar here. He gets ignited and facebreakered back in. iBoy's not, he's fearless. He does not care right now. And they do gain themselves an ignite, lose nothing. It is a very, very short cooldown, so shouldn't mean too much in the grand scheme of things. But ooh, a bit dicey there for Team WE.
We were just talking about our question marks being on Team WE's bottom lane, and once again, early mistakes come out. You're losing a lot of kill pressure by blowing that ignite. We were just setting up, hey, the level 1 or level 2 flash coming out from Missing in the laning phase, looking to put that pressure down. That same pressure isn't exactly there. Even if he does go for that play, I actually feel like iBoy and Hunk can kind of just shrug it off, look to auto him down. You're both going to trade HP on each side. And even when we look at in terms of where junglers are playing, we do see Beishong playing towards that bottom lane like we expected because he has the Gragas. But still, I feel like RA's bottom lane are in a fine position with all summoners being up.
We'll have to see if any shenanigans do happen the level 1, level 2 mark. It is generally level 2 once they're able to get the Haymaker onto this set. It becomes very, very, very difficult to try and just survive, as you said, in that kind of early exchange, especially when he has the flash, and he, of course, will have his Hex Flash as well. But looks like it's going to be a pretty even state now into this mid lane, or this bot lane, as both sides just trying to see if they can get a little bit of an advantage.
And of course, we do expect WWE's bot lane to have push at level 1. The AoE from Zaya's Q allows them to get that level 2 first and allows them to push this into tower. Hung should be able to hold it so it doesn't go directly into tower, so it's fine. And now the question for me is, what's Le Yen going to end up doing with his kind of first pathing? Where is he going to gank? It looks like Cube is trying to force us into tower. If he does do that, maybe you can get a gank off top on the bounce back. But I would actually probably prefer trying to see a gank set up in mid. Sure, Fofo doesn't have the most burst damage early on, but even if you can blow Emung's flash, if you do have an idea of where Beishong is, if he does show towards the bottom side, that could be a viable option.
Well, the Ignite was traded back as Hong went on to Missing, and Missing with the pots able to sustain himself back up. So it's an even Steven state right now in the bot side as Leanne into this mid lane. The flash, great scat of the week. Oh, that was frame perfect.
I'm sad, Penguin. I said I wanted to see the mid gank from Leanne. We see it, but I wanted to see Syndra's flash blown. But But like you said, that was just Emong playing incredibly well with that Scatter of the Week. It's going to be a trade of scuttles on both sides. Emong having no mana has to back, and now he's going to TP back to lane. And now we're going to see WE's bot and mid be able to hold up this pressure. Beishang's going back. He's probably going to look to kind of cycle through his camps once again as we see him heading up towards that top side.
That was very impressive, and to have the discipline from Emong to just hold his flash, didn't need to use it, knew that as long as he got that Scatter of the Week off, he was totally fine. Beautiful. Chef's kiss. Mwah. Absolutely gorgeous. But now you've blown that flash. You've only lost the flash inside of Lian. It's now becoming a lot more difficult for him to try and find those opportunistic kills, to find those early ganks versus someone like the Olaf for Beishang, who has just been power farming. You can see already getting a camp lead, has all of his camps respawning now in the next few seconds. He should be able to keep going and might be able to snowball that into a bit of a level lead.
Yeah, it's going to be rough because realistically, right now we just see Breed doing a good job of keeping the wave right in front of his turret. It did actually finally get pushed in, so not being able to gank that Gragas in the top side. You can look for a gank down bot, but we do see that all summoners are up for Jomung and missing, so I think it will be quite hard to take them down. The only other thing that comes to mind is looking for a repeat play on mid and trying to roam Hung over with the now priority that iBoy and Hung have in the bot lane.
Yeah, they have the priority, but they did not have it a few seconds ago. And you can see Lian, perfect vision here for the side of Team WE. They do spot Beishang themselves, so they know that both junglers are roughly around the Dragon Pit. The flash and cleanse from iBoy has to be extended, but it's an aggressive flash from Jomung. The Haymaker is there, the Ignite is ticking. iBoy just about staying alive. They're trying to keep him in the alcove for as long as possible. First blood is going to be given over to the side of Jomung, but this fight has gone on way too long, and Hong picks up a reply kill. Now with the junglers jumping in, missing is here. No Haymaker available to you, missing, as he will just be dropped. There are no flashes on either of these players, and here is the Syndra. They're trying to see if they can get any more purchase onto this bot side. They will be able to get a kill onto Syndra, and that equals up the kills 2 for 2.
Yeah, nice place overall. iBoy getting caught out early by both Missing and Jomung. Hung doing a surprising job at being able to solo Jomung himself afterwards. We do see Lian makes his way down first, but Penguin, it's not over. It looks like W went the Dragon and RA are posturing, but everyone backs off in the end. I would say the end result of all of that is it was at least good that WE were able to get the wave completely pushed in. Unfortunately, it's right as iBoy is coming off spawn, so really nothing lost by either side in terms of like waves, gold, or EXP, and we are just a 2 for 2 kill trade overall.
The biggest, I suppose, negative for the side of RA is that it was Hong who got the kill, not iBoy versus Jomung. And you can see that in the items right now. It is a dagger and some brown bags on his feet versus a fully completed. It is a far more established item in the High Noon Quiver for Xayah. That is a little bit of an issue. As long as they don't get caught out, though, they should be relatively okay. They have got a pink ward in the alcove, so they know there's going to be no shenanigans right now.
Nope, and we do see RA just kind of stacking a big wave and making their way to pushing this into turret, but they don't have the setup on the map to make any play right now. Lian is topside, Fopo just coming off a reset, and WE are actually handing off blue. The next timer I think we want to look at is, it's probably going to be a Herald play. I do expect that RA could rotate their bot lane up if they want to, but for RA, it actually might even just be fine if they just have Lian start that one off with Cube's pressure, have Hung rotate over, and have iBoy play safely back. And with how WE's comp is, I'd say, more early game oriented, I definitely think they would rather opt into that fight than look for a trade for Dragon on the opposite side of the map.
See what either side wants to go for. Dragon, of course, still available. We will see the Rift Herald spawning in 15 seconds, so the option for a trade is definitely there. The Grand Skyfall is now here for the side of RA. Hong just threatening, see if he can get any jitters into this bot side, but WE's bot lane standing strong, standing firm, knowing that they're not going to be in too much danger. But Lian can just appear out of nowhere We'll see which way they want to push it. Now, looking at the map state, looking at the CSs, is kind of even Stevens, honestly, across the board. The only discernible difference or advantage you can see is going towards the side of Team W, and that is on that Olaf, who has just been farming up an absolute storm, and looks like they are going to try and just start up this Rift Herald, and with Leyen resetting, it might actually just be a straight up, advantage for the side of Team WE.
And I'm surprised that we're not actually seeing RA be the ones to go for this, right? We saw that Renekton was one with push in top side. Luyen did path down, though, towards the bottom side. Looked like he was trying to cover any potential ganks because Aibo and Hung were pushing in. And this will just be a free objective for the side of WE, and RA aren't even trying to answer with a bot side play.
Yeah, they had vision on it as well. The ward did go down into that pit, so they knew that something was happening. They knew that they were trading away the Rift Herald, but that just gives a free objective over the side of Team WE. The Rift Herald is an interesting objective, though. I always say it's how you use it, not that you got it. That's important. And we'll see what way they want to work for it now. Leyen will pick up a Scuttle. Reset comes in for Beishong. Gets himself a Phage on top of his Iron Spiked Whip. He's feeling good. He's going to be starting to path towards this dragon, you imagine, and they could honestly pick up 2 free objectives.
True, and like we said, Breathe is fine in that top lane. He has Flash, he has the Body Slam, he has the Cask. He can survive whatever RA throw at them. And one interesting topic about the Herald, especially in LPL, is I'd say like 80% of the time it seems like we just drop Herald mid. Like the LPL philosophy of the Rift Heralds is using, 2 Heralds to break down mid lane turret rather than, hey, we have 2 plates down bot. Let's go 100% of the time, take this turret, which is a for sure pressure point on the map. It seems LPL teams value a lot more of breaking down mid and having the agency to turn into whichever quadrant they can, rather than that, again, pressure point that they can have by breaking down a side lane turret. It's not always true, but it does happen a lot of the time here in the LPL, especially compared to the other major regions.
Definitely feels to be a default setting. As we now look, TP into mid lane from Yimong. No real vision here at all, but Pantheon is hovering. Leyen feels it in his bones that something or someone is lurking in the shadows. As the dragon has been started, and with TWE getting priority in the spot side and the mid laner of RA backing away, this is again another free objective to the side of TWE.
And we're, again, just seeing the team that has, the more priority lanes and the Olaf be able to, I guess last time it was an Udyr, but, the more farming, fast, clear jungler, just be able to find the edges in this early game. Sure, they're not up in gold, but they're taking all the neutrals. They will be up at gold at some point if you factor in that they do have that Rift Herald, so we'll be at least be able to break down some plates. And Luyen this time is having the slower early game. Again, we could highlight what we did last time around where you could bring Pantheon mid. You could also have Cube hover over as well. At least try to get a flash, which will then give Fofo more room to play around the bot side. You can then start taking some of WE's river vision. Because right now, WE have full knowledge of whatever RA do. There's no fog of war they're playing around, no nothing. They know exactly what is going on. And I'm not quite sure if Emung's ward actually spotted out Luyen walking river. I think it did. It does look like it's placed close enough to the right side where it would, but he's not playing like it did.
I don't think he did, and now he's in a little bit of trouble. Scout of the Week not picture perfect this time. Shockwave onto 2, and that's going to be Leyen picking up that kill into mid lane, but Leyen will sacrifice his life in favor of getting that kill. He tried to make it happen. He did, but he trades it 1 for 1.
Yeah, and, he didn't see Luyen go down, Luyen coming to the mid lane. I did think that ward was probably close enough to the right side where he would. I'm going to pause, though, as Hung looks like he's caught out.
Has to use the Solar Flare, trying to see if he can get himself out with the Aftershock, and of course the threat of the Blast Cone. He does keep himself safe, but that is the ultimate down for him. He will not be able to make any big plays in the bot side should any happen, but overall, it's still a very, very close game. 300 gold in it, not even in favor of Team WE, and those quick kills in mid lane will help out, Leyen and Fofo longer into this game.
And we've just seen that WE's vision control in river has helped them out so much, right? They have pinks completely down the bottom side, that pink in top side. They've known exactly what RA were going to do for the past few minutes. That's how we saw that counter gank come out in mid to where they did get the 1 for 1. And now being able to drop this Herald in mid lane, they're going to get gold onto both Emong and Beishong. And again, it's that default setting in LPL that we talked about. They have some plates down in the bot lane. They could look to take that bottom lane turret, but it's typically about breaking open mid for the, options it gives you.
Yeah, it gives you so many opportunities to aggressively ward, get behind enemy lines, and just opens up the enemy jungle. I think the reason why people put so much emphasis onto the mid lane turret is that it does give you so much, priority around the enemy side of the jungle. It gets you up, aggressively move up the ramps, it makes you put in deep vision, maybe look for a TP flank. So it has got a lot of power within itself, but it is something that I feel like some teams over prioritize and maybe tunnel vision a little bit too hard on.
The thing I like about it most is the fact that, because, right, we come to a lot of situations where before a Dragon or before Baron, the teams are 4v4, 5v5 contesting mid-wave, that it makes it very dangerous for the team who lost that mid-outer turret to walk up and contest. They have to be a bit conscious of the potential flanks that can come off.
Got to be very, very aware of your opponent's strengths. Knowledge is power, and that's why vision and wards are generally seen as some of the most OP things in pro play. This Cube jumps in on top of Breathe. Takes a decent trade there with his Gore Drinker, so he's feeling pretty fine to be able to take all these trades at all times. As we see now, Frostfire onto Breathe as well. So this is becoming a bit of a trend here. I don't believe anything drastic has changed with the item to warrant this level of play on so many different champions.
So we've seen a change with both Frostfire and the Turbo Chem Tank, where their price was lowered to 2800, but they both lost. Like Frostfire lost the extra armor and Turbo Chem Tank lost the extra magic resist, to where they're both now just sitting at 25 for both. But that was the only change. There was no actual change to how the items themselves functioned.
Oh, while you were explaining to us what the changes were, we did see the Grand Skyfall used to no real benefit there. No flash burn, no nothing on top of Breathe, as he's able to keep himself very, very safe in that top side with the Bramble Vest and the Frostfire. Now Leanne using this top side pressure to maybe try and pick up his first objective of the game, trying to start off this Herald. And while that's happening, no jungle pressure in the bot side, you can see WE using this to their fullest advantage, and they will crack open this turret.
I definitely favor WE for this trade, right? We finally see RA getting a neutral objective, but we even talked about the last Herald that RA should have been able to take, but just didn't. Now we're going to see WE win out more on the bot side. They got turret, they're pushing in the waves. Dragon's coming up in 4 seconds. They should be able to take that. And there's no Grand Skyfall onto Leyen. But WE, not just... Okay, they are instantly starting off this one, so RA shouldn't be able to contest in time.
Nope, they started it off, and there is a hell of a lot of damage when you have a Kraken Slayer on Jomung, so he's able to keep that one pretty consistent and pretty safe. It is going to be an Infernal Soul and Infernal Rift. And that does open up. I actually love the Infernal Rift more than I love the Soul, mainly because I feel like you're always going to fight for Soul. That doesn't really change. But how the map changes and how it opens up different avenues for different angles and all the likes, it just creates a very different game. And I feel like it's one of the few map changes that really does make every single game feel very, very different.
Especially for the way team fights happen, right? Because there's some team compositions that like to fight in the jungle with how kind of closed off it is, the amount of AoE a team comp can provide and really abuse that. But especially on Infernal Rift, where you do have those buffs open up, it works a lot more for those team compositions that prefer the more open areas, typically want to fight through lanes. And like you said, it really does change the dimension of how the game is played on the Rift. Or at least it could, depending on the team composition.
Changes how you feel about it, changes how you approach fights, changes a lot about how this game can be played. And the Rift, I feel like the less walls you have, the more avenues to get in, it just makes it far more fun, in my opinion. But let's have a look at the game state right now. Still dead even in the gold. 3-3 in kills. The only real discernible advantage for the side is TWE. With those 2 Drakes, they are stacking them in their favor. First item starting to be picked up pretty much across the board. You can see the Gore Drinkers now for both the Renekton and the Pantheon. Hong, though, has flashed to potentially get out of this. Should just be tanking up a little bit and then walking away. And yeah, look, first items, this is where both teams I feel want to fight. This is where they want to try and make their, voices heard.
And ooh, we do see that WE, at least as of now, have a numbers advantage on the bottom half of the map. Of course, Fofo does have teleport, but if any instantaneous kind of fight broke out, WE would have a chance to find a pick. But instead, Fofo is going to be able to get a lot of pressure towards his top side, and I love looking at the minimap. Both teams running sporadically there now. Looks like WE want to counteract any RA play because they do have vision of Luoyan being here. But no, nothing, Penguin. Nothing gonna happen.
Nothing gonna happen. I feel like that was RA calling WE's bluff of saying, we know that you're being super aggressive on the bot side because you probably have a numbers advantage. So Fofo, keep top. We'll just stay safe and you get as much damage as you possibly can. And look at the mid lane difference right now. It is actually 50 CS in favor of Fofo on this Orianna. Yimong has just been having a bit of a tough time, and we did say just as we were going into the series, it is a bit of a trial by fire. Fofo is one of the hardest lane opponents in the LPL for anyone.
And we've also seen just Fofo doing a great job at catching side waves. Oh, as Lian goes in.
Oh, he goes in, but he gets caught. Flash into the showstopper to stop absolutely everything there from Rare Adam. They lose themselves a kill. There is no objective to be capitalized on apart from that mid lane turret. And now Rare Adam, their mid lane is exposed, and then we can see straight away, we talked about this earlier, why it's so important. It just opens up the jungle.
And the thing is, at least what's been the theme of these first two games, the team that wins bot is most likely going to win the game. This game's not over. That doesn't have to be true. But it's kind of looking like it. Sure, gold is close, but it's felt more like wherever WE is, they are the ones who control pressure on the map. Lian goes in, he looks for this. No one really prepared to follow up. Orianna's not here. iBoy looked a bit confused. You don't have any burst damage there without Orianna or Renekton, so I'm not too sure what Lian was looking for, but you know, maybe thinking, hey, we can try and lock them down under turret and find this initial engage. They aren't able to do it. We do see... Oh, the Herald not going to be able to get anything either, but Dragon, 1 minute away.
He was running out of time. He was running out of time. Had to use it or lose it, and sadly, I think both options were just lose it or lose it and give a little bit of extra gold. I wonder if that's the way you'd think about it. I wonder if it's not worth it to throw down the Rift Herald because you're giving over 25 gold over to someone. I know it's semantics and it's incredibly small pieces of gold, but, you know, the little things that keep me up at night.
I feel like...
face shot.
He does get it.
He got the steal.
Yeah. Oh, but Breathe is here as well. Actually, everyone's here, Penguin. Everyone.
Fight, yeah. Everyone is here. This is going to be a big old party now around this Dragon Pit. 20 seconds until that Infernal Drake does spawn. That would be third Drake for Team WE. You can see Rare Adam, they do not want this game to go to Soul Point in the next 5 minutes. They want to have it try and delay as long as possible because you have an item lead on the AD carry for the side of Team WE, and you do not want to let them get away with that. So, RA, do you go for his? iBoy did walk over rewards. They know full well that he is just sitting in that bush. Dragon has spawned. Missing is here. There's the solar flare, misses and absolutely hits nobody. There's the showstopper. Breathe gets knocked back. The explosive cast keeps Fofo. 3-man scatter of the week is a very, very good deterrent. But there's the shockwave that lands down on the base shong, and Missing is dead. Cube in the dominance keeps himself alive. Hong down to about just below a third of his HP. Jomong is still very healthy, lots of mana, and they back themselves away. Despite losing a player, it is Team WE that own this pit.
Honestly, I feel like the execution would have been better had WE been more patient, but Lian's going in.
Lian is going in. They do find Beishong, and now Lian trying to keep himself alive with the W. They get one more spear of power down, but that doesn't matter. The Dragon was already down below half HP. Yes, you end up trading it 1 for 1, but it is still going to be the Dragon for RA, and that is the objective they came for.
I agree with what you were saying, but when the fight was kind of being postured before it started, that WE had the position. They had the knowledge. They had the wards down. They knew where iBoy was. They had the flanks off. RA had to worry about 2 different angles. And then I feel like Missing just pulled the trigger a bit haphazardly because we actually saw we saw the benefits of the positioning, right? Amazing scout of the week from Emong on the 3 members, but they weren't really in a position where they could take advantage of what they had set up because of how fast Missing pulled the trigger. We're going to get a replay of the second half of the fight. WE went for this. They obviously are at a numbers disadvantage, though. Volvo wasn't even here. Lian just able to go and burst someone out, but gets taken down immediately. At least it does guarantee RA the Dragon. Point is, though, to summarize, WE had the correct positioning. I feel like they just had to take it a bit slower.
Yeah, I feel like they kind of panicked a little bit and moved forward without kind of really setting themselves up for success. But nevertheless, that is how the fight went down, and the gold is still very, very even, if not a little bit ahead for RA. WE, you had those dragons, you had the map pressure with those turrets. just need to try and make something work for you right now. And Jomong didn't really feel pressured in that last fight. Yes, he used his ultimate, but still has his flash, still has his cleanse. 2 items on him now with the Essence Reaver, but important for the side of RA. They got the Guinzu's Rage Blade for the Vayne. As Lian does force a flash out of Missing, he has to respect the damage that was coming in.
And the longer this game goes, you know, there's obviously scaling elements on both sides, but I think I slightly favor RA. As nothing happens again. No. I'm giving you the space, Penguin. I'm giving you the space.
I know.
And you don't need the space.
Sometimes I don't need the space. It just happens how it kind of comes down. Actually, an interesting build divergence I actually want to just quickly talk about before we inevitably get our next fight. Lian went with the Atmos Impaler. Or, sorry, not the Atmos Impaler. That has not been in the game for a very long time.
You boomer, the Umbral
Glaive. I haven't been playing since 2009. All right, I remember something. I mentioned an item today that you didn't even know existed.
What was the name of it again? The other item?
It was the something breath. I can't remember exactly what it is now. As we're going to maybe look for a Baron play. I know RA just going to back themselves away. It was Breath Stealer. Sorry, I couldn't remember. It was Breath Stealer, an old AP item that used to exist in the game. It used to reduce a target's mobility or ability power and attack damage by 70%, but I cannot talk about that right now as Missing goes in and Missing misses, and he actually gets deleted before the showstopper can start everything off. WE panicking on the ramp towards Baron Pit, and that has just punished them so hard. Full rain now for the side of RA on this Baron.
Yeah, and RA have a fantastic turn, right? You have the Leona, you have numerous ball carriers in Pantheon and Renekton as well. The Shockwave is up for Fofo.
Oh, he just landed onto 2, but Fofo is killed immediately. Now, Jomong uses his cleanse, uses the feather to let everything go fly, rips them back and catches Lian. And now iBoy feeling like he might be able to make something happen here. They're trying to jump on top of him, but he's just kiting beautifully. It's a dance of beautiful arrows as iBoy goes a little bit too far forward, steps on his toes a little bit, and backs himself away. They will not, however, be able to take the Baron. They will just clear out all this vision as Missing is back on the field.
And we're at a point where if it's, you know, backline hitting frontline for both sides, I just feel like RA have more damage. The Vayne is going to outdamage Zaya at this point in time and for the rest of the game. Fofo also going to dish out more damage than the Syndra on the opposite side, especially looking for a big shockwave from him. We're going to get a replay of how this all initiated. So Missing thinks iBoy overstepped, goes for it. iBoy nicely able to kite out. They burst him out immediately. And then here is the play on the Baron. I highlighted how good of RA's turn was. Throws out the ultimate, doesn't really hit anyone. Fofo lands a good ultimate, but Jomong is in position to just burst him out immediately. Looked like some really nice crits coming out from him. Still ends up going down to Lian. And then iBoy, as you said, just queuing and kiting around this fight. Watch Emong. He's going to go for the Scout of the Week. Doesn't hit in the end. iBoy wanted to go for this, but at the end does back out.
Crucially for Jomong, he did not expend his flash in that last place, so he still has that available, whereas iBoy doesn't. He's relying on the cleanse and the happiness of his feet. It's Dragon is spawning in 25 seconds. Both team posturing aggressively in mid lane. They want to get the priority. It's actually the lanes in favor of WE on the sides of the map. So right now you can feel that it is RA who want to try and take this as quick as they possibly can. They have the domain control around this Dragon Pit. They have the vision, and they know they have the damage to burst out anyone who tries to face check it.
That's really tough position for the side of WE. You do expect that Missing is going to look for the flank, as we see now. The question is, can he find his way on top of one of the key carries of RA?
Oh, he's looking for it. iBoy will get caught up, has got the cleanse available to him. Shockwave lands on the 2, and Missing is down straight away. But the target was iBoy, and now iBoy is dead. Cube jumps straight on the Jomong, but he had his ultimate and his flash. Jomong is trying to keep himself away, and will get the Scatter of the Week. They lose 2, gain 1. There's the Skyfall coming down in on top of Jomong, who gets flashed in, bursted down. Lian picks up that kill, and we can see here Cube just being given the runaround here by Yimong on this Syndra, and they are able to get themselves their second Drake and a bit of a gold lead. This feels like it's RA shifting gears a little bit.
And once again, it feels like RA does have that real nice, like, 1-2 punch combination that, sure, if you invest all your resources in taking out iBoy, he's gone, but you still have this other massive late game hyper carry in the Orianna there. Even right now, right, Cube and Lian still putting out massive damage as well. As we look, 6 kills onto Lian. They do take down the Baron. And as we get a replay of the fight, we talked about, hey, is Missing going to find one of the key targets for an ultimate? Goes in. They actually aren't able to land the body slam onto him or the cast. So they still take down one member before iBoy does go down. And then you watch Cube on the other side. He's taking out Emong. Fofo as well just finished off Olaf. And yeah, again, we highlighted, it was a bit of, I'd say, misexecution for the side of WE. They weren't able to chain their CC onto iBoy and instantly take him out. Missing didn't go down first. But it feels like the comp from RA is just too versatile at this point in the game.
Yeah, it just feels like it is kind of coming online. We actually see the Sterex fully bought there for Lian to complement his Umbral Glaive. I can never say Umbral Glaive, excuse me. I speak for a living, and that's what I do. But we look at the, kind of down the line here. It does feel like you mentioned everything is in the Jomung basket. He's the guy with 3 items. He's the one who's going to be putting out the constant DPS, but Cube is just such a raid boss right now. If he gets on top of you, you need to just back away immediately, or you're just going to fall apart in front of their eyes. And showing everything at iBoy just doesn't feel like the correct call. Breathe as well. His explosive casts haven't exactly been ideal. You see him here. He's tanky. Explosive cast will keep him safe there, but you can't do anything. This wave is massive. I don't really think there's much they could really do here.
Nope, they definitely cannot. And Lian still has an ultimate too if he wants to pivot back towards mid if an engage does break out there. And I feel like one problem this game as well is that because WE did start falling a bit behind early on into the mid game, their comp couldn't get on objectives first. And we highlighted one of the things about when you do have the Xayah, the Syndra, this like outrange and 2 peeling champions in Gragas and set, they always had to walk into RA. They were never able to play that style and kite back with the Xayah like we saw in game 1 being utilized.
It becomes very difficult to land on top of iBoy right now with the Phantom Dancer, with the ultimate and his flash and cleanse soon to be available to him as well. It just becomes a losing battle to try and catch him out. It will take a mistake or a misposition from iBoy to try and catch him out and burst him out. You throw everything like you did last time, you're just going to lose. And even more woes for the side of TW is Cube just finished his GA, so even when the raid boss is down, he gets knocked down, he gets back up again.
Yes, he does. And another great thing to index into, right, as you highlighted it earlier, was Fofo CS lead, and a lot of it is because of what we saw there. Fofo has been consistently hovering towards those side lanes and picking up farm to where WE have stayed stacked as that 5-man unit. We can't overstate that Emong is a new player. He's only played in the LDL. He's fresh as day in the LPL. He is just filling in for Shanks, who, has a bit of an emergency and is going to be out for 2 series, so there have to be lower expectations for him. There do have to be caveats. It is still disappointing. WE is, I'd say, struggling in this fashion with RA up 5k gold.
5k gold, 2 Infernal Drakes as well, so the burst damage available to someone like Cube or even Fofo on the Shockwave is just immense. Dragon up in 45 seconds. Baron has expired. And Missing, now level 11, will have a little bit of a better time with his cooldowns. Has got the Dead Man's Plate to complement himself. And Cube just being a nuisance, pushing himself in, getting himself into positions where he knows he's going to force out cooldowns of sweepers, pink wards, regular wards, anything he likes he can now get and waste on the side of Team WE. And you just see how hard it is for Team WE to try and walk into this. RA, they're so good at kiting back, but Team WE, they can't even get close to the targets they want to get close to.
The thing I also like about builds is we see that iBoy brought the Hex Drinker because the only long-range burst that WE has is Syndra. And iBoy is confident with his Q, he can outplay any of the other forms of engage and burst coming out from the side of WE. He's only worried about that Scout of the Week into Ultimate coming out from Emong.
All right, definitive call here from Team WE. They said, you're going to get the dragon. We're not here in time, so we're going to try and take a fight in this side of the jungle. But you can see with iBoy, he's feeling himself. He gets the first kill. 2-man Shockwave onto the 2 most important carries. And Team WE are torn to shreds. There is nothing that they can do to stop RA from smashing them back in this game. TP coming out onto the bot lane as Missing is being chased down. It's supportal combat, and no one will intervene as Hung gets the ace. 3 Drakes, a massive gold lead, and a minion wave in bot side, RA are going for the win.
Yeah, Penguin, great performance coming out from them. They should at the very least be able to take down these inhibitors. Death timers aren't too long. I'm honestly not positive they can do it. But regardless, this is definitely an RA win in the long run. 7k gold, beautiful shockwave from Fofo. It's been amazing to watch.
It was a fantastic team fight, and it was something that Team WE looked to find. They knew exactly where the side of Rare Adam were. Rare Adam were prepared for it. They will take down all Nexus turrets. They will not go for the end just yet. The explosive cast knocks Leanne away, doesn't quite knock Q back. There's a plenty of turrets for them to walk through, but this is going to be an easy outro for the side of Rare Adam. They just, honestly, they just smashed them.
It was great, and I knew I was skeptical on the end. Again, 20-second death timers. You have to run down through inhibitor turrets and Nexus turrets. This is not going to happen that easily. It would have been fun if we did see RA go for it. Maybe they could have killed the Nexus in time, but right now we're going to see resets come out from RA as we go into a replay, actually. And we see them jump onto Breathe immediately from the likes of Lu Yen and the Leona as well. Great shockwave coming out from Fofo as well to chunk both of them down. Jomung instantly getting bursted out as well. And at this point in the game, RA have too much of an item advantage, too much of a damage advantage with the triple Infernal as well. And look at iBoy's damage in that last team fight. Monstrous.
Oh. Absolutely insane. But this is perfect for RA. They don't need to fight for this. They don't need to just give this one up 1-for-1. As we can see, Missing going in, does get the face breaker on top of iBoy, and Hong does fall down. iBoy will be next to follow. The super minions are crashing into the base. You need to win this fast if you're on the side of Team WE. They're trying to take down the raid boss, that is Cube, with the back door from the Pantheon. You can see him. He's going in with the Grand Skyfall. He's going for the end. This is how you end it. You got the fight you wanted, Team WE. You got the opportunities. They're trying to see if they can take him down. They're trying to see if they can delay this fight. They're going to stop the Syndra. That's the consistent damage. The last auto attack goes down. RA end the game.
I gotta be honest, that was completely ridiculous for the fact that you said it. RA didn't need to take that fight. RA could wait for the super minions to push the Nexus and then go for the Baron. But RA, they want the spice. They want to take the fight and then they want to mind game you by sending the Pantheon in, who can't die, who can get the kills. And, you know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if that was the quote-unquote correct black and white way to win the game. They still got the W, Penguin, and that is what counts.
A dub is a dub, and my God, I just can't even think what you'd be thinking if you're on Team WE right now. I can't even fathom how you would be thinking, because right there you're thinking they used 2 teleports after the last fight. They have only one, kind of set up. They have to go around Baron, so that means Pantheon has to be at it. All he got was a little bit of space up to the top side of that jungle, and just realized, hey, nobody's focusing me. They're all, concerned with Cube right now. It doesn't matter that we lost 2 of our players. We could just end this game right here, right now. And I love the action there from Leanne. Didn't just focus 100% on